Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show right here on WNRI 99.9 FM 1380 on the AM dial. And you can also check us out at WNRI.com. We stream live and free on WNRI.com. So please check us out. I am here every Tuesday evening from 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. And we rebroadcast the show Saturdays at 1 p.m. as well. This is my 12th year, and we talk about real estate, as you probably guessed by the title. It's geared for you, the consumer, and I try to provide information that will be valuable to home buyers and home sellers and interesting to people that already own a home and aren't looking to do anything differently. You know, the market, it's almost been, in some respects, the past several years a little boring because it has been so strong, consistently strong. And, even though interest rates were down real low and moved up real high and then eased back quite a bit, the market has continued to remain strong and vibrant. And that's, economics 101. That's what's been driving the market. And the number of buyers has been driven by folks trying to escape from high rents. Okay. I want to do a quick shout out, thank our sponsors. Of course, G Metz Moving and Storage. The best move you'll ever make is by going to gmetzmoving.com to get a price for your move and schedule a move on their website. That's G as in George, M as in Michael, E as in Edward, T as in Tom, Z as in Zebra.com. Moving.com, excuse me. gmetzmoving.com is the website to get a price on your move. One suggestion I would make is please be honest when estimating how much you have, because you don't want to get it and then they get there with one truck and it's like, oh my goodness, we really should have two trucks here helping us out because there's so much. Because then what will happen is it will take them longer, so you'll have more manpower hours needed, and that could be a problem if you need to be out of your house and into another house so the next occupant of your home can move in. So it's always better to be as honest as possible, and if you have questions, you can certainly ask them a question and they will get back to you ASAP. That's gmetzmoving.com. We're actually going to have George Metz on the show next Tuesday evening talking about the latest developments and changes and intensity of the moving market at that time. Also want to thank Compass Title and Escrow. They are the designated closing and title company for our clients. Anthony Betancourt and his crew, including Christine and Camille, they do an awesome job taking care of our questions, communicating with myself and other agents that may be involved, and basically addressing any potential surprises before they become problems, because surprises when it comes to real estate transactions are never good. Okay, and if you think there would be a good surprise that will come up during a real estate transaction, please reach out, give me a call, 401-580-9797 after the show, and if it's a legitimate good surprise, I'll buy you a coffee. Also, we want to thank Vern Rainville. Vern Rainville is a public insurance adjuster. He's licensed by the state of Rhode Island. And he works for the property owner, you, not the insurance company. So he's looking out for your best interest. Vern has a construction background. He's a Rhode Island guy. And if you have or think you had a claim, even if it was over a year ago, give him a call, 484-300-8495. Again, that's 484-300-8495. Vern will get back to you within 24 hours. And even though it's not a 401 area code, he is, I assure you, in Rhode Island, 484-300-8495. So please support our sponsors, George Metz, G Metz Moving and Storage, and of course Vern Rainville when you have the need. And we direct our clients to Compass Title and Escrow. Some shout outs to some of my vendor partners. We've had Jeff Gashone on the show. We've had Don Miller on the show. We've had Dave Campagnon on the show. These are some great lenders that I work with and refer my clients to because they do an awesome job helping them put their financing together. And also identifying potential problems before they become a major problem or a real problem as opposed to a potential problem. So if you're working with me or any other realtor and they refer you to or give you several lenders to reach out to, don't discount that because they're usually referring you to people that know their stuff and that know how to get deals closed, as opposed to having surprises develop at the last minute that could create a problem. Okay. So every week we talk about what's going on, excuse me, in the market, and I go to my reliable mortgagenewsdaily.com website, and this year or this week, the 30-year fixed rate mortgage is 6.79%, a 30-year FHA 6.19. Okay, that's in the low sixes, and a 30-year VA 6.21%. Okay, so these rates are, they've come down, they kind of bounce around in this general area, but the rates, they don't have necessarily a huge impact, or haven't had a huge impact on the number of buyers in the market. What they do is there is a little bit of a psychological impact that they can have on people who are thinking about, not engaging, but thinking about it. So if the headlines are all talking about mortgage interest rates are up, that could cause some folks to remain on the sidelines. But the folks who actually make the call, reach out to a realtor, start putting a game plan together, and of course if you'd like to reach out to me, my personal cell phone is 401-580-9797. We can put you on a track to become a homeowner, whether it's something you want to do now in 6 months, 12 months, or 18 months. That we're prepared to do that, okay? And 80% of folks who are looking for homes online aren't going to buy in the next 12 months. They're starting early, and that's good. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail. You want to start lining your ducks up early, so when you are ready to pull the trigger, you are in the best position that you can possibly be in. Okay, and why is that important? Well, that's important because it can perhaps get you a lower interest rate on your mortgage. Okay, maybe paying down a couple of credit cards. Instead of paying one credit card off entirely, pay down two so they're at that 35% or lower balance. Okay, that can have a big impact on your credit score, as opposed to having 3 credit cards that are maxed out, and instead of paying off one, pay all 3 down to get them below that 35% threshold. Okay, things like that can help out. If there are errors on your credit report, steps may be able to be taken that can help you improve your credit. Okay, so if you have any questions on any of this, 401-580-9797. Again, 401-580-9797. You can text me at that number too. And it's your humble host, Joe Luca, Luca. Now, home sales, as we talked about last week, have been increasing. Home prices have been increasing. And we're slowly starting to see more properties come on the market. Now, why is that? Well, one of the reasons that is the case is because the weather's starting to warm up. Okay, and as the weather starts to warm up, that is when the quote-unquote spring market commences. Okay, people don't like to think about selling their house, preparing their house for sale when it's cold out, snowy, windy, rainy. I know when that's the weather, I feel like staying in the house. I don't feel like going out and trudging around the yard, cleaning the driveway, and edging and picking up things around the house. Around the yard. That stuff starts when the weather warms up. Okay, now we're down to about 741 single-family homes on the market in the entire state of Rhode Island. 741. Okay, it should be many times that to be at a balanced market. Okay, and we're not there. We're not there. So, as weather warms up, that number will slowly creep up to 800, and then it will continue to go up from there. How high it's going to go, I don't know. I mean, a couple of months ago, we were at over 1,000 homes, but now we're back down in the 700. So it will go up, and when that happens, more people will be able to buy homes, and you'll see the home sales, those numbers will increase. You'll see pending sales, those numbers will increase. You'll see that mortgage applications will start to increase. Okay, so these are the things that contribute to positive headlines. Positive headlines are really what drives the intensity, the market intensity. Okay, last week we talked about the market intensity in Cumberland, in parts of North Providence and Johnston, and how the market intensity had ticked up from the previous month. Okay, what I want to talk a little bit about tonight is why is it that Rhode Island has been a little bit of an outlier when it comes to the prices of homes. Okay, we are fortunate. We have several things in Rhode Island that make us very attractive. I mean, there are a lot of things in the housing market right now that are true across the board. And nationwide, homes are increasing at about 4%, 4% clip. That's the rate of equity accumulation, how much your home value is increasing year over year. Rhode Island, we're in, depending on which market segment you're looking at, 9, 10, 11%. Last year, we were at 16.8%. Let that sink in. Okay, so we are an outlier compared to other states. Now, usually, Rhode Island is an outlier, but it's not for good things. Okay, but it is for good things now. And, I want to go over some of the things because a lot of times Rhode Islanders, we get down on ourselves and we don't think that this is such a great state. But it is a great state where people are staying here, okay, and there are people moving here from other states. And there are certain things that make that happen, okay. One of the things is lifestyle appeal, okay. We have a great Rhode Island vibe here. And that small town feel, access to beaches. We have short commutes to Boston, or shooting over to the east side of Providence, or even driving all the way into New York. I mean, you can get anywhere pretty quickly from Rhode Island, or even when you're within Rhode Island. So if you're in, one of the suburban communities, you can get to Providence in no time because we have such a great highway network. We also have a lot of great restaurants. We have more top-tier restaurants per capita, I think, than any other state. I believe it's any other state. That's the metric I seem to recall. But things like that make it really desirable to live here. Okay. We also have a lot of culture and art museums. We have a lot of historic homes. Okay. Many Rhode Island properties are old, as in the 18th and 19th century. There are a lot of pros, with these homes. There's charm. A lot of people, they don't want the typical center hall colonial or raised ranch that was built in the 1950s or colonial. These are things that that are very attractive to many buyers. Now, of course, old homes, historic homes, there are some cons that come with them too, and you have to be willing to accept these. And this, take it from someone who lives in a home built in 1800. There are certain maintenance issues that you always have to do. If you're trying to modernize, that can be an excessively expensive issue sometimes. If you have a stone foundations are nice. They're attractive and very nostalgic. But water can seep through those stone foundations. Okay, that's an extra thing you have to do to treat the outside of the foundation so that you do not have water coming into your basement. Okay, some foundations, I've heard horror stories where these big spiders that live in between the stones. I have not seen those, but I have been assured by a good friend of mine who has a thing for historic homes that they are real and they are big and they are scary and ugly. But those are some of the things that you have to deal with when you have an historic home. Okay. Something else we have waterfront properties. I think we have over 400 miles of coastline. You know, we're the smallest state, but we have over 400 miles of coastline in this little state. So if it's from the Newport mansions to modest cottages in Warwick, you know, we have it all and everything in between. Okay. You know, and a lot of times too, you don't have to live on the water for it to be a valuable asset or a desirable attribute for the state. You know, I remember here a conversation a couple of years ago, and it was an individual who worked at CVS Corporate, and he moved here from Texas, and he lived in Cumberland. He chose to live in Cumberland, and some of his coworkers were like, "Dude, how come you're living in Cumberland? Why don't you live down where we are in East Greenwich? It's so much closer to the beaches." And his response was, "Dude, I'm from Texas. It was 14 hours to get to the beach. Driving an extra 25 minutes to get to the beach is not a deterrent for me." So again, this is all relative. And folks who live in other parts of the country or other parts of the world, they don't think the way we native Rhode Islanders do. Okay, I lived away and I found myself, coming back to Rhode Island and thinking the same way. It's like, oh, I don't want to drive all the way to Narragansett. But it's not far. You know, I'll drive to Narragansett for some things, but I'm not going to drive to Narragansett to go meet someone for a drink or a coffee. Okay, so there are a lot of different things that make Rhode Island attractive. Okay, people like coming here because we have this charm. You know, we have great communities. Okay, if you're talking about the Northern Rhode Island community, Blackstone Valley. Okay, there's a lot of history here. There are a lot of family traditions. There are a lot of family names that are everywhere throughout Rhode Island, and these names had significance historically. Okay, Blackstone, Slater. These are I live on Staples Road, the Staples family. These were families that had historical significance at one point in our past. One thing that I remember a few years ago, I learned from a guest on my show here, that the town of North Providence predates the city of Pawtucket, the incorporation of the city of Pawtucket. And I thought that was very interesting. And these are the things that make Rhode Island so attractive. Watch Hill, you can be all the way down to Watch Hill, where you're almost, a stone's throw from Long Island. Very different, unique experience, hometown feel. Very different than go up to, the east side of Providence, parts of Narragansett, parts of Cranston, parts of northern Rhode Island. Okay, we have some great bucolic, historically significant, comfortable, small town vibe communities, but they're very different. Okay, we have such a small state. We have 39 municipalities, and within those municipalities there are villages which can be very different from one another. Okay, and these are the things that make Rhode Island attractive to a lot of people. Okay, some other things that make Rhode Island different than other states around the country are the uniqueness of our homes. Okay, sometimes it can be we have homes that are very different, and if I have a client who wants to sell their home and they want to sell it quickly, but it's a unique home. I had this conversation with a prospective client a week or two ago. Great home, big home, a lot of unique selling features. Okay. But these things, sometimes it's referred to as taste-specific items. But these, in this particular house, weren't taste-specific. because they were unique design elements, quality of construction elements that not all home buyers are looking for, can appreciate, and most importantly, are willing to pay more for. So if you are looking to get that higher number for your home, you have to be willing to wait for that specific buyer who has the same value system as you do as a homeowner. And that takes time, because not everybody can appreciate something like radiant heat. Okay, not everyone can appreciate having the wood used to construct the home from trees that were felled on the property. Okay, some people think that's great, and I'm one of those people. Do you want to pay an extra tens of thousands of dollars for that? Well, maybe somebody would, but it takes longer to find those buyers. Okay, so as long as the seller's not in a rush, that can happen. Okay, I've had situations where I've had families selling a home that's not a true fixer-upper, but certainly has what we refer to as add value opportunities. And it's a great home, but it needs some love. It needs some updating. So you have, it has a nice layout. You've got 2 bedrooms on the first floor, full bath on the first floor. Those are great, so people can age in place. And then you have 2 more bedrooms on the second floor, opportunity for, to redevelop the basement. Add a bathroom down there, expand the bathroom on the second floor to a full bath. These are all add value opportunities for the new owner. So we are in a position in the business cycle now where that seller can receive more for a home that needs updating than they would have received in the past. Okay? And there's still opportunity for the new homeowner to add value. Okay? That's good, because it's attractive. So a young family, in this case a young family with 2 infants, can say, we can come in, we can customize this home to meet our needs today and in the future. And the home is in a good neighborhood on a level corner lot. It's a well-built home. Doesn't need structural issues. It doesn't have structural issues, excuse me. These are the things that can contribute to making a home more attractive. And we have lots of these in Rhode Island. You can say we have some of the oldest housing stock in the country, which we do, and you can look at that as a negative, or you can look at it as a positive. You go to other parts of the country, Florida, Arizona, parts of California, Texas, and you want to buy a home, and they'll have a new development that'll have 10,000 homes in it. As far as you can drive in an afternoon, all those homes are going to be the same. If you're looking for something different, you'll be hard-pressed to find something unique and different in those neighborhoods. Around here, you just on the same street, you can find a home that's different. Depending on how different you want your home to be. Okay, here in Woonsocket, we have lots of different multifamilies. And single families, we have everything from East Woonsocket, where you have the mid-century to recently built homes. So you have a lot of variation there. I mean, you've got variation of over 70 years in construction dates. And then you can go to the north end of Woonsocket, where you have Victorian houses, single families. You'll have Art Deco houses. You'll have contemporary houses, all built since the 1800s. So there's a lot of variation there, and it's very unique. Not all states have this, and we're fortunate that because we have this, because we have a lot of culture, a lot of restaurants, a lot of museums, and we have a great highway network, so everything is pretty close together. You're never really far from anything, unless you're trying to go across the Washington Bridge during rush hour. People find that attractive. And even that, talking about the Washington Bridge, Okay, is it going to take you an extra half hour, an hour extra? You know, in other parts of the country, you'll have a 2-hour commute that, if you don't hit it right, could become a 4-hour commute. And that's every day. Okay, this is an exception. Okay, folks, if you're just tuning in, it's about 31 minutes past the hour, and you are tuned in to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show right here on WNRI 99.9 FM, 1380 on the AM dial. We stream the show on WNRI.com, so if you don't have the right antenna, you can't pick up AM or FM radio, go online. You can listen to us on your phone or at home on your computer at WNRI.com, because we stream free all the time. Okay, I want to thank our sponsors, Compass Title and Escrow, G-Metz Moving and Storage. The best move you'll ever make is choosing G-Metz Moving and Storage. Please check them out at their website, gmetzmoving.com. Whether you're moving furniture from one side of the house to the other or moving your entire household, you can call on G-Metz Moving and Storage. Just go to gmetzmoving.com and they will get back to you ASAP. And of course, Vern Rainville, licensed public insurance adjuster. He's licensed by the state of Rhode Island, and he can help you with your insurance claim to make sure you receive the most money you are entitled to based on your insurance policy. Okay? Vern Rainville, 484-300-8495. That's 484-300-8495. Vern Rainville, public insurance adjuster. He's a Rhode Island guy, lives in northern Rhode Island, and even though his phone number area code is 484, he's a 401 kind of a guy. Just call 484-300-8495. Vern Rainville, public insurance adjuster. Okay, so if you want to reach out to me, your humble host, 401-580-9797. That's my personal cell phone number. You can text me at that number too. My office number is 401-409-5030. And if you forget that, just Google Joe Luca Realtor. That's Joe, L-U-C-A, Realtor. And you'll find my social media, my email, my webpage, everything. And my social media, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. I'm technically on Snapchat, but I never use it. And I also have YouTube, so I post videos of this show and other quick videos to YouTube channel as well. So the Joe Luca Realtor, look for us, and you'll find us online as well. So what's going on? What other news do we have in the real estate market right now? So, you know, we've had, I was talking about why Rhode Island is great and giving reasons why it's still desirable, because in housing news, the Case-Shiller Housing Index show that house prices continue to gain, check this out, between 4 and 5%. Okay, so we're more than double that. Okay, last year we were triple that at 16.8%. Okay, some areas have flat home prices, and in some areas like Tampa, Florida, home prices are falling or have fallen. Okay, this is regional trend that continued through the month of February. I don't have those final numbers yet, but the housing trend report did indicate that there was an uptick in price reductions as a share of active listings. Now, price reductions are different than a decline in value. That just means that a seller or the listing agent were a little over ambitious, over eager to receive maximum value for the home. You know, and I always tell people, my clients, when they want to list their house for a high number, even if we find a buyer who's willing to pay that number, then the appraiser has to agree with us. And that appraiser is going to they have to establish fair market value. Fair market value, you look around and see what other similar houses are selling for in the neighborhood. Okay, so if you have a house that's priced at X, needs updating, and then the appraiser does comps and they see every other house that's priced at that number is fully updated, maybe perhaps it was a flip, or everything was completely done over, so it has a new kitchen, new bathroom, new floors, new windows, central air, and the house that we're talking about, the subject house, does not have any of those things, that house isn't going to appraise. Now, is it going to be shy $5,000 or $25,000? It depends on the difference, because then you have to look at the quality of construction, the materials, the general condition. So not only is the subject house not updated, how and what condition, how much deferred maintenance is there for the existing systems, plumbing, electrical, roofing, etc. Okay, so it needs a new kitchen, new bathrooms, etc., new flooring. Oh, and the electrical is still knob and tube, or the electrical has old circuit breakers, or the plumbing, the pipes, the copper pipes are all corroded. These are other things that contribute to lowering the value of that home when compared to other homes that have sold on the market. Okay, so that's why it's, try to, when you're thinking, whether you're buying or selling, work with an experienced, full-time realtor. If you have a relative that's got their license and you want to give, or a friend, and you want to give them the business, but they don't have a lot of experience or they're not full-time, make sure they have a mentor or they're working on a team, because you do not want to miss out. Okay, a lot of times, there aren't a lot of houses on the market, and there are brief windows for houses to be shown. And if you can the house can be shown tomorrow between 12 and 3, or Sunday between, 12 and 4. Well, if you can't get there tomorrow and you have to wait till Sunday, don't be surprised if the house goes under agreement before Sunday. That's happened. I always try to get my clients in the home as soon as possible, because we don't want to miss out. Now, if he or she can't get out of work, or there are other reasons they can't go look at it tomorrow, and then it sells, okay, it's on them, not on me. But if the reason I can't show them the house tomorrow is because I'm working on another job, that's a disservice to you as a client, as the buyer. And I know when this happens, because, you can't get if it's a listing agent or a buyer's agent, you can't get them on the phone during regular business hours. You can only talk, after 5 o'clock. You ask questions, and you can usually tell pretty quickly how well prepared they are, how knowledgeable and experienced they are, or aren't, after a pretty quick conversation. Now, are all part-time realtors like this? No. There are many part-time realtors who would do a phenomenal job and take care of their clients and do a tremendous amount of business. But those are the exception, not the rule. They're the exception, not the rule. I always say, you can only do one thing 100%. Okay, there are only so many hours in the day. I only have so much energy. I only have so much bandwidth that I can focus on things. I can't do two things at 100%. It's impossible. No one can. Anyone who tells you they can do two things at 100% is deceiving themselves. I read a lot of books, and, all of these books are saying you can't multitask. Focus on one thing at a time. And a lot of people are like, I can multitask. I have to multitask. Well, yeah, you can multitask, but maybe you're doing two things at 50% and nothing at 100%. But that's a discussion for another day. We're not going to get into that today. But I know I know what I do is I focus on my clients. Sometimes I have to travel for business to go to webinars or trainings or whatever. Even when I'm away, I'm working. I'll talk to my clients all hours of the day or night to answer their questions, assuage their concerns. Okay, that's what a good realtor does. Full-time and full service, because sometimes I have to do things that are not what the typical realtor does. But if you're a full-time, full-service realtor, you can do that. Okay? All right. So, it's a matter of making sure we all keep everyone, that is the client, number one. Number one. And, when someone's buying or selling a home, it's typically the largest financial transaction of his or her life, or their life. So they deserve my undivided attention. When they're talking to me, I shouldn't be worried that, I have to do that project for my boss. They shouldn't worry that the only time I can talk to them is on a coffee break or a lunch break or after work. Because they may be spending time with me after work, but are they thinking about something going on at their other job? I don't know. I know I focus on what I do, and I know I'm always taking classes, reading books, taking trainings, so I can be on the top of my game for all of my clients. I try to be as efficient as possible, so my clients can have maximum value. It's all about my clients. It's not about me. There are too many of my colleagues who put compensation before the transaction, and that's not the way it works. And from my perspective, I would never jeopardize my brand, my reputation, over one transaction. I would never do something, tick off another, a client, a realtor, or whatever, just for selfish reasons. It's not worth it. I've been in the business a long time. I want to continue to be in the business for a long time. And you can't do that by burning people, whether it's colleagues or clients. Okay. Folks, you're listening to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show right here on WNRI, 99.9 on the FM dial, 1380 on the AM dial. You can check us out at WNRI.com. We stream all the time, always free at WNRI.com. You can listen to us anywhere in the world if you go to WNRI.com. Okay, so we're talking about some things that contribute to making Rhode Island attractive enough so that buyers are driving prices up. Because buyers set the prices of homes, not sellers, not real estate agents. We can have a house, I can think it's $1 million house, but if there are no buyers that think it's $1 million house and there's no other homes similar to it that sold for $1 million, it's not $1 million house. It's not $1 million house. The buyers determine the value. If I have a showing, if I have a listing and we have, 25 showings and we don't receive one offer, that's a very different situation than if I have a listing and we have 5 showings and I receive 2 offers, or even just 1 offer. Then we know what the fair market value is for that house because we have an offer. But if I have 25 showings or 35 showings or 40 showings and we don't have 1 offer, it's probably safe to assume that the house is not priced appropriately. So the price for that house was probably set by the listing agent and or the owner, the seller. They're not determining the value. The buyers are. Even though there aren't a lot of houses out there, buyers are not going to pay more than they should for a house. And what is the amount that they quote unquote should pay? What's the amount they should pay is similar to what else is on the market. So if you have a house and it's priced $20,000-$30,000 over all similar properties on the market, excuse me, well, Joe, why don't they buy one of the other properties then? Well, because maybe those houses aren't what they want. Maybe they don't have updated windows. Maybe they have carpet and they don't want carpet. That doesn't mean that those houses are definitely going to be, they're going to definitely submit offers on those houses. You know, but houses are selling. It's just taking longer because typically when you do an open house today, you don't have 20 or 30 people coming through an open house. Sometimes you do. But usually you'll have a smaller group of people that come through and they think about it, they contemplate it, they'll look at a couple of other houses. And if your house is still in the running, it's appropriately priced and in a good neighborhood, it's in good condition, you'll receive offers. But sometimes houses get a lot of traction, listings get a lot of traction at open houses because there aren't many similar houses maybe in that neighborhood or in that layout that are on the market. And they'll go and they'll look at it and they'll say, wow, this is a nice house, but jeepers, I don't think it's worth that much money. I'm not going to put an offer in. Or sometimes, you know, people will say, oh, I'm going to look at the house, but yeah, it's probably going to be bid over because there were all of those other people who came through. I don't want to overpay for the house. That's when it's incumbent upon the listing agent to call up all of those prospects or their agent to kind of drum up business. Yeah, no, we had people that were going to put an offer in. They decided against it, so it's still available. Please let me know if your buyers are interested. I'd love to put a deal together with you, my fellow realtor. It's the buyers who set prices, not sellers, not realtors or real estate agents. You know, it grates my nerves when people say that, oh, these greedy realtors are raising prices. We don't raise prices because if everybody were a cash buyer, okay, and they didn't want to have it appraised, okay, but that's not the case. Because the houses are not going to get financed. Even when there are cash buyers, sometimes, believe it or not, a cash buyer still wants to get an appraisal, or if they have a big down payment, they still want an appraisal. You know, I have a transaction not far from here, and the house, it actually, the appraisal came in a little shy, but the buyer still wanted it. Now, I had prepared my seller about pricing, but we were fortunate in that the buyer said, you know what, I still want the house. I'll pay asking price, or the agreed upon sales price, which happened to be asking price. Okay, so, you know, but that is clearly an exception. And what I always do when I list properties and we go list it at a higher price, my job is to educate my client and say, listen, we'll list it at that, but don't be surprised if offers come in lower. It doesn't appraise. We need to make a concession. Sometimes I'm right and that happens. And usually I'm right when that happens. You know, I mean, it's the seller's house, so we have to price it at a number that they want. If we can provide professional, empirical evidence for why it should be priced the way we think it should be priced, but sometimes they don't want to hear it. All right. And I don't get upset. I don't get, defensive about it because the market is going to dictate what that home is worth. Not me, not the seller, not all the marketing in the world The marketplace determines the value of a home. Buyers, okay? And even though we have many more buyers than we do sellers right now, and even though prices are going up in low double digits, people are not paying quote unquote stupid money for homes. Because buyers today are much more pragmatic, are much more circumspect when looking at homes, and they're more considerate when submitting offers on homes. Very different than it was during COVID. Very different. When people were just, throwing offers in, like, just to try and get accepted. You submit 20 offers and you get outbid every time. Then people start saying, oh, let me just throw a highest and best in. Okay. Today, and I think it's a good thing, people are more circumspect, more thoughtful, thinking about it. Well, I like the house. I think the price is okay, but I really don't like that there's no basement. I really don't like that there's no bathroom on the second floor. I really don't like whatever it is. They're thinking about this and they're deciding, you know what, let's wait a little bit longer. If we're going to pay all this money for a house, let's wait till we find something that fits the bill. Now, folks, that's very different than saying, let's not start looking for homes until prices level off, until prices come down. I don't see that happening anytime soon. And if anyone disagrees with me, just listen to this statistic. Nationwide right now, there are 9 million individuals between the ages of 18 and 34 who live with their parents. 9 million. At some point, these people are going to start to buy. They're going to want to move out of their parents' house, and they're going to want to buy something. It's not going to happen all at once, but these are buyers that are not contributing to the shortfall of inventory right now. They're not even in the marketplace. Not contributing to the best. They're not, contributing to the intensity right now. When these buyers start to peel off, if it's 2% per year, 5% per year, whatever it is, that's increasing the pool of buyers who are in the marketplace looking at, as of today, 741 homes in the state of Rhode Island. That's a challenge. And that's why I do not see this real estate market changing anytime soon, because no one that I've seen has a magic wand where they can create 6 million homes nationwide, which is what we need to address the shortfall. That's before we have those 9 million kids who are still living at home. I say kids, individuals. All right? The 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds, they'll probably stay in the house a little bit longer, but when you start getting to be 30, 31, 32, in America, that's a time where you feel like you want to spread your wings. In other parts of the world, you'll stay home and living with your parents until you're 40, but we typically don't do that in this country. So this market, and now that's a nationwide number. However, we still have in Rhode Island a lot of individuals between 18 and 34 who are living at home. And I'll tell you what, folks, the ones who are in their late 20s and early 30s, these aren't the ones more of them have good jobs and are making good money than the ones who are staying home playing video games in the basement. Yes, that is a percentage. But I will tell you, from numbers I've seen and personal anecdotal evidence, there are more living at home who have good jobs, who are making decent to good money, than the ones who are staying at home because they're lazy and don't want to work. That's a smaller percentage. So this group that's financially capable, they're going to start peeling off. Is it 34-year-olds, 33-year-olds, 32-year-olds, whatever it is. Those buyers are going to start to enter the marketplace. And that is going to exacerbate the challenges that we already have of there not being enough homes on the market. And don't forget, these people who are living with their parents get out of college or high school, you live at home for 10 years, you can save a good amount of money. So now they're going to have a decent deposit so they can afford to pay higher for that house than someone that's coming in with no money down or 3% down. Because they might be able to take a hit for an appraisal gap. And they may say, well, you know what, I'll cover $5,000 of an appraisal shortfall out of my deposit. That's called appraisal gap coverage. If you have questions about that, again, reach out to your humble host, Joe Luca, Luca, RE/MAX Preferred, 401-580-9797. That's my personal cell phone, my office, 401-409-5030. And I'll answer any questions that you have. But that's a very real statistic, okay? That is going to become reality little by little over the next several years. One of the other things that makes Rhode Island attractive too, that we talked about last week and the week before with Bob Brierly from Calyx Builds, is accessory dwelling units. Rhode Island has one of the best building codes for accessory dwelling units. So we're really encouraging intergenerational living. So now Grandma and Grandpa live in New York City. The kids live here. They've been renting. They have some grandkids. Well, Grandma and Grandpa move here. Now we can have 3 generations living together, saving money. Grandma and Grandpa, they get Social Security, whatever it is. They can kick in some money towards the mortgage, take care of the kids or the grandkids. Little things like this make Rhode Island more attractive and contribute to the demand for people to stay here or to relocate to here. We talked about last week how some folks, they moved to Florida and now they're moving back. They're getting hit with $15,000, $20,000 premiums on their homeowners insurance in some certain parts of Florida on regular homes, median homes, not waterfront multi-million-dollar properties. Okay? So, folks, we are at the end of the show. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. We'll be back next week. George Metz is going to be here on the show. Same bat time, same bat channel. Please tune in, and I appreciate you listening, and we'll see you then. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.